The law prohibits the following: import or export of any threatened or endangered species, the taking of any species within the U.S., which we'll define in a moment, the possession, sale, delivery, or transport of any threatened or endangered species, and removing or damaging endangered plants. As always, there are exceptions, which we'll cover below. Critical habitat is defined as being in one of two zones. The first zone is a specific area within a geographic area where certain physical and biological features are essential to species conservation and require special management protection. The other zone is outside a geographic area that are essential for species conservation. The difference between the two zones is that the area within a geographic area is going to require greater safeguards to protect that species. An endangered species is protected throughout all or a significant portion of its range. Obviously, how one defines its range is important and has been and will continue to be the source of both legal and public scrutiny and criticism. This is the subject of one of our cases this week, so we'll explore this issue further in the discussion board. The difference between endangered and threatened is the degree of threat. An endangered species is in danger of extinction, while a threatened species is likely to become an endangered species within the foreseeable future. Let's begin with the process. Anyone can submit a petition, you, an environmental group, anyone. Once the petition is received, the responsible federal agency, either the Department of Interior or the Department of Commerce, has 90 days to make a preliminary finding as to whether or not there is sufficient information to move to the second step, a listing review. A listing review is a low threshold burden. It simply requires the availability of the best scientific or commercial information. The term scientific and commercial information was in the news recently as the Trump administration proposed some changes to the act. I've included an update to this week's module that covers this. The question is, what constitutes the best scientific and commercial data? The government says that this would include studies or surveys conducted by the federal agency, information contained in past biological opinions and assessments, and status reports and listing rules, including critical habitat designations, recovery plans, and published and unpublished studies done on the species. There are three possible outcomes from this initial petition. First, the agency can find that the petition does not support a need for listing. Second, the agency can find that the petition warrants listing but is waitlisted because other higher priority species are in front of it. Every year thereafter, the waitlist is reviewed to see if there needs to be any changes. Third, the agency can find that the petition warrants listing. At this point, the agency has a year to collect all the necessary information, hold public meetings and review comments before it makes a final decision on listing or not listing, or extending the review period. Everything comes down to the biological assessment. This is a formal consultation with the appropriate federal agency and examines how the species might be affected. The basis for determining listing as endangered or threatened must consider the best scientific and commercial data. However, when considering a designation as critical habitat, this includes the best scientific data but also economic and national security considerations. The law calls for a cost-benefit analysis for this designation, unless the best data finds that failure to designate the area as critical will result in the species' extinction. There are 5 factors that, if any are present, would constitute a determination for listing. 1. If there's a present or threatened destruction, modification, or curtailment of the species' habitat or range. 2. If there's overutilization for commercial, recreational, scientific, or educational purposes. 3. For reasons of disease or predation. 4. If there is a finding of inadequate existing regulatory mechanisms. Or 5. Natural or man-made factors affecting its survival. The Secretary of Interior has to publish a list of all the species designated as threatened or endangered and then review that list for any changes every 5 years.